Arpeggios are an absolutely amazing and very useful tool when it comes to improvising solos when you really want to target those chord changes and make your solos sound musical. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take the major scale, and I'm going to show you how you can use it to create arpeggios. If you enjoyed this lesson at the end of the video, feel free to go to the description of this video. There's a link to join my completely free guitar community, and there's also a link to apply for one-on-one lessons. So what is an arpeggio? If you never learned arpeggios before, you don't know, I'm going to explain them in the simplest way possible. So essentially, an arpeggio is a group of notes that outlines certain notes in a chord. So for example, if I have a G major chord, there's a ton of notes, when I'm playing that bar chord in there. And what we can do is we can use an arpeggio, a G major arpeggio, to outline the specific chords in that note. So in every major chord, there is a 1, a 3, and a 5, right? If you have a triad, for example, a C major triad, we have a 1, a 3, and a 5, right? 3 notes to make up a major chord, a C major triad, any other major triad. So when we take a G major chord and we want to outline that chord with an arpeggio, we need to outline the 1, the 3, and the 5 within that G major scale. So essentially what we can do is we can take this G major scale shape and we can find the 1, the 3, and the 5 all over that scale shape so that we can create a full arpeggio that goes from the top of the low E string all the way to the high E string. So here is how you should approach this. So we start on our 1, which is our G at the 3rd fret. Then you simply want to find the 3rd note of the scale, so you just count up 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's our 2nd note. And now we want to outline our 5th. So you'd start at the top again and you'd count 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the 5th fret, we have our 5th note. So we have our 1, our 3, and our 5. So that technically is a G major arpeggio, right? But we want to expand that to use up the rest of that scale. So from the 5th note, we basically just keep counting again until we get to our 1 again. So we have 5, 6, 7, and 1 right here. So we can add that note in now. We have 1, 3, 5, and 1. And now we want to find the 3 and the 5 again up the octave. So from that 1, we keep going up the scale and counting your numbers. So 1, 2, 3. So there's another note there. Starting back at the top, we have 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. Now we can keep counting up the scale. We go to number 4, 5. That's another 5. And then I'm just going to find the 1 again. So 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay, so we have our 5 here and our 1 at the bottom here. So if we add those 2 notes to our existing arpeggio, we get this. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, and 1. Okay, so that is a complete G major arpeggio, and here it is fully put together so you can hear what it sounds like. Right? That outlines the G major chord perfectly. So the interesting thing about this is now we know how to build a major arpeggio from the major scale, this major scale shape. Now, if we want to find, for example, an A major arpeggio, we can just go to our A major chord, play the A major scale, and use that exact same pattern we did over here. We're just shifting it up to start on the 5th fret, and we can play our A major arpeggio. Okay? And you can do that all up and down the neck to find any major arpeggio that you want. Now we can also do this starting on the A string. So if we have a bar chord, for example, like the C major right here, we can use this scale shape and create arpeggios using the exact same method that we did for the G. So here's the C major scale starting on the A string. Okay, so now what we want to do is we start on our 1, which is the C, and we want to count to get our 3 and our 5 and all of the other positions. So I'll just run through this quickly and talk you through it while I'm doing it. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's our first 3 notes. Okay, from our 5, we want to go to 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now if we put that all together, we have 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. And again, you can do that exact same thing anywhere else on the neck and it will just change the type of arpeggio that you're playing. If we wanted to play a D major arpeggio, we would find our D bar chord on the A string and play that exact same shape that we did for the C major arpeggio. Okay, so we know how we can make major arpeggios from these bar chord shapes. Now, what if we want to make it a minor arpeggio or even add some extensions like a major 7 arpeggio or a dominant 7th arpeggio? And it's pretty simple. It's using the exact same method. You just count out the notes that are built up of that chord. So for example, a G major 7 chord. A G major 7 chord has an extra note. It has the 1, the 3, the 5, and then the 7th. Okay, so using that exact same shape, we can start with our 1, our 3, our 5, and now instead of going back to our 1, we want to add the 7 right in before we do that. So from the 5, you can count up the scale to get your 7. 5, 6, 7. So there's our 7 right there. So we can play 1, 3, 5, 7, and then back to 1. And now we want to find our 7 on the lower string set as well. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 1. And we have our 3 here, our 5. And then we have our 7 right here. And then back to our 1 on the bottom. So if you fully put that together, here's what it sounds like. And on that G major 7 chord. Okay, and the exact same thing applies if we want to move that anywhere else. For example, an A major 7, we can play the same exact arpeggio shape for the A major 7. So we have our 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, landing on the 1. Okay, so now let's do this exact same thing, but with the other major scale shape rooted on the A string. So for the C major chord, we can turn that into a C major 7. And we want to follow the exact same method. So from our existing major or C major arpeggio shape, we know we have 1, 3, 5. Okay? And then we want to put the 7th in. So to find the 7th, you count up the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 7th is right here. So we can construct our arpeggio. 1, 3, 5, 7. And now we want to find the other 7. There's going to be one more 7th in there. So from the 7th here, we can go back to our 1. And then we know we have our 3 here, our 5, and then we have a 7th here. It's a bit outside of the scale, but for reference, it's on the 7th fret of the low, or the high E string, sorry. So if we fully construct that, put that together and play it, here is what it sounds like. 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7. You probably know the drill now. We can use that exact same shape for any other bar chord on that A string. So for a D major 7, for example, you use that same shape and construct your D major 7 arpeggio. 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7. So how can we actually use these arpeggios when we're soloing? Now, most of the time when we improvise a solo, we're thinking in scale patterns, and that causes issues when it comes to actually identifying specific notes that you want to target when a chord comes along so that your solos flow through the song. As an example, I'm going to use a backing track that goes from a G major to a C, a 1 to a 4. And what I'm going to do while I'm soloing over this backing track, I'm not even going to use the G major scale. I'm not going to think in scales that way. I'm going to think in the arpeggio shapes that we just learned. So when the G chord comes along, I'm going to play those notes in different order of the arpeggio, right? So that's my G major arpeggio. I'm going to play those notes, improvising using that arpeggio. And then when the C major chord comes along, I'm just going to outline my C major arpeggio. And I'm going to improvise using those notes. Okay, so now I'm going to play a backing track with the chords G and C. It's going to start on G, and then it's going to go to C, and then it's just going to keep going back and forth. And I'm going to use those arpeggio shapes to outline those notes to target these chords. So here we go. First note is G. Targeting that arpeggio. Right, you can experiment with targeting different notes. You don't have to target the 1 or the 5 at every time. You can try targeting the 3 when the chord comes around. That's targeting the 3rd. That's targeting the 5th for the G chord. Targeting the 1. Okay, so you can see how arpeggios are super useful for targeting chord changes, and with a little bit of phrasing and some expressive techniques like some bends and slides, you can make it sound really good. So to practice, you should go on YouTube, pick a backing track with 2 chords, maybe like a 1 to 4 progression, so like any major chord, like an A major chord to a D, or even the G to the C, or even like a B major to an E major. The 1 to 4 chord is really good to target, to practice using these arpeggio shapes and targeting those chords. My name is Braden, and that's it for this video lesson today. If you liked it and you want to go dive deeper into improvising and join a guitar community, then click the link below. I have a free guitar community and a free soloing course when you sign up. And then if you're interested in going deeper and fast tracking your guitar progress, there's a link below to apply for one-on-one lessons as well.